I need to tell you what really happens when you expose a narcissist. Because it's not a theory. It's not a book I read. It's my life. For years, I was trapped in a toxic relationship that almost destroyed me. I thought I was in love, but I was actually living in a cage built by manipulation, fear, and control. From the beginning, Richard looked perfect. He was charming, charismatic, the kind of man who enters a room and makes everyone pay attention. And I was his chosen one. He made me feel special, unique, like no one would ever love me the way he did. And that's exactly how narcissists trap you, with intensity, with promises, with a love that feels bigger than life. But very quickly, the mask began to slip. He didn't need to shout. Sometimes it was just a phrase, whispered in my ear with that cold smile, "You're nothing without me," or a look across the table that made me feel small. He controlled how I dressed, who I talked to, where I went. And if I dared to resist, he'd turn the blame on me. "You're crazy. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things." That's gaslighting. That's how a narcissist rewires your brain until you no longer trust yourself. I remember one night, I found a message on his phone. It wasn't the first time I suspected, but this time the proof was there. Betrayal, lies, even mocking comments about me with another woman. My hands shook. My stomach turned. In that moment, the illusion collapsed. The man I thought loved me was nothing but a mask, and behind it there was cruelty. I couldn't unsee it, and I knew I had to expose him, not only to protect myself, but to break the spell he had over everyone else. Because narcissists don't just manipulate you, they manipulate the entire audience around you. Friends, family, colleagues. They need to look perfect. So I started collecting proof. Every text, every voice message, every little detail that revealed who he truly was. For weeks, I lived a double life, smiling in front of him, but at night saving screenshots, recording audios, writing everything down. It was like preparing for war. And the day came. I remember the scene vividly. A family dinner, everyone around the table, laughter, wine, food. My heart was pounding so loud I thought people could hear it. Then I put my phone on the table and said, "Enough, you all need to know the truth." I pressed play. His voice filled the room, insulting me, threatening me, exposing his real face. Then came the messages, projected on the screen for everyone to see. The silence was suffocating. My body was shaking, but I held my ground. Richard's mask cracked right there. The charming man everyone admired was gone. In front of their eyes stood the abuser, the manipulator, the narcissist. And let me tell you, when you expose a narcissist, you think it's the end, but it's just the beginning. The moment I exposed Richard, the room froze. For a few seconds, nobody moved. His voice was still echoing from the recording, calling me worthless, mocking my fears, laughing about my tears with another woman. My family looked at me in shock. Friends shifted uncomfortably in their seats. And him? He tried to laugh it off. He shrugged, smirked, and said, "She's exaggerating, she's crazy. You know how emotional she is." But the mask was gone. I saw it in their eyes. They didn't look at him with admiration anymore. They saw what I had seen all along. For a brief moment I thought, it's over. I'm finally free. But here's the truth nobody tells you. When you expose a narcissist, you don't just reveal who they are. You declare war. That night Richard didn't scream. He didn't throw things. He left quietly, his eyes burning into mine like a silent threat. And I knew the storm was coming. The next morning it began. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Dozens of calls, messages, voicemails. At first he begged. He promised to change. He said he would start therapy, that he couldn't live without me. He cried, his voice trembling. For a second, I almost believed him. That's what narcissists do. They know exactly which strings to pull. But when I didn't answer, the begging turned to rage. The messages became darker. "You'll regret this. You ruined my life. Nobody will believe you." He posted long rants on social media, painting himself as the victim. He told everyone I was unstable, jealous, that I had created lies because I couldn't handle losing him. Some people believed him. That's the cruel part. A narcissist always has followers who are hypnotized by the performance. At work, I felt the impact. A colleague whispered that Richard had called my office, saying I was mentally unwell. Friends I hadn't seen in months texted me, asking if it was true that I had lost control. He was trying to destroy my reputation piece by piece. One evening, I came home and found a bouquet of roses at my door. With it, a note. "I forgive you. Let's start over." My stomach turned. Forgive me. After years of betrayal and manipulation, he still had the audacity to act like I was the guilty one. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch with all the lights on, shaking every time a car passed outside. Because deep down, I knew. Narcissists don't let go. They can't handle losing control. The harassment escalated. He showed up at places I used to go, pretending it was a coincidence. He sent gifts to my family, trying to get them on his side. He called mutual friends, twisting the story until I was painted as the villain. I felt trapped again, not by his presence inside the house, but by his shadow everywhere I went. One scene still haunts me. I was walking to my car after work when I saw him leaning against it, waiting. My heart dropped. He smiled, calm, as if nothing had happened. "You can't erase me," he whispered. "You think people will really choose you over me?" I froze. My body wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't move. That's the effect of years of psychological control. Your brain learns fear like muscle memory. Somehow, I managed to get into the car, lock the doors, and drive away, my hands trembling on the steering wheel. That night, I broke down. I sat on the bathroom floor, crying until my throat hurt, whispering to myself that I was strong, that I could survive this. But the truth? I felt like I was drowning. And this is what people don't understand. Exposing a narcissist doesn't end the story. It starts a new chapter, one where they fight with everything they have to destroy you, because losing control feels like death to them. But in that darkness, something shifted inside me. For the first time, I realized I wasn't fighting just to escape him. I was fighting to find myself again. And that fight had only begun. After exposing Richard, my life became a battlefield. Every day was another attack, another performance, another attempt to rewrite the truth. And the scariest part? He didn't just want me back. He wanted control. When a narcissist feels exposed, obsession takes over. He started showing up everywhere. At the grocery store, at the cafe near my office, at the gym I used to go to. Sometimes he wouldn't say a word, just stand there, staring, his presence heavy enough to suffocate me. Other times, he'd smile like nothing had happened, as if we were still together. That smile haunted me more than the threats, because it reminded me of how easily he switched masks. One night, I woke up to the sound of my phone buzzing nonstop. Dozens of messages, one after the other. "Answer me. I know you're awake. You'll regret this. Nobody will ever love you like I do." The last message was a photo of us from months before, the two of us smiling in a restaurant. My hands shook as I deleted it, but the image burned into my mind. He was reminding me of the cage he had built, and how easy it was for him to lock me inside again. I tried blocking him. New numbers appeared. I deleted my social media. Fake accounts started following me. Friends told me he was spreading rumors, that I was unstable, that I was addicted to pills, that I had cheated on him. Lies piled on lies until even I started to question myself. That's what gaslighting does. It lingers even after you've escaped. One of the darkest moments came during a family gathering. I thought I was safe, surrounded by people who loved me. But suddenly my aunt handed me her phone. "Richard says he wants to apologize. Should I put him on speaker?" My blood ran cold. He had called her directly, charming, polite, convincing her that he was the victim. Even there, even with people who knew what he'd done, he managed to sneak his way in. That night I couldn't stop shaking. I sat in my bedroom with the curtains drawn, whispering to myself that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't imagining this. But part of me still felt trapped. That's the cruelty of a narcissist. They don't just attack your reputation, they infect your mind until your own reflection feels like a stranger. And then came the breaking point. It was late evening. I was leaving work, the parking lot empty, when I heard footsteps behind me. My heart raced. I turned, and there he was, Richard, standing under a streetlight, half his face in shadow. He didn't yell. He didn't move. He just stared, and then whispered, I'll never let you go. I ran to my car, fumbling with the keys, tears blurring my vision. I locked the doors just as he reached the window, his hand pressed against the glass. He didn't hit it. He didn't scream. He just looked at me with those cold, lifeless eyes. For a moment, it felt like I was staring into the emptiness of a man who had no soul. That night, I realized something terrifying. Richard didn't care about love. He cared about power. And if he couldn't control me, he would rather destroy me. I couldn't live like that anymore. The fear, the stalking, the manipulation. It had to end. I didn't know how, but I knew one thing. I was going to fight back. The night I saw Richard's hand pressed against my car window, something inside me broke, but not in the way he wanted. For years, he had fed off my fear, my silence, my doubts. But in that moment, I felt a different fire rise inside me. I was done being his victim. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I showed her everything. The messages, the recordings, the screenshots. My hands trembled as I placed the evidence on her desk, but she looked at me firmly and said, "You're not alone. We can stop him." For the first time in years, I felt the weight lift off my chest. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining it. I was fighting back. I filed for a restraining order. I changed my locks. I told my boss everything, so no rumor could destroy me before I had a chance to defend myself. Piece by piece, I rebuilt the walls that Richard had torn down. And while he raged, while he spread lies, while he tried to twist the story, I stood my ground. It wasn't easy. The threats continued. Late-night calls from blocked numbers. Notes left on my doorstep. Friends who still believed him, who whispered behind my back. There were nights I curled up in bed, crying until sleep took me. But every tear was different now. I wasn't crying because I was weak. I was crying because I was healing. And slowly, I started to rediscover myself. I went back to painting, something I had abandoned years ago because Richard said it was a waste of time. I met my friends again, and we laughed like I hadn't laughed in ages. I reconnected with my family, who held me tighter than ever, as if to remind me I was safe. The more I healed, the smaller he became. His attempts to smear me lost power. People began to see through him, just like I had. The perfect mask no longer fit. He was exposed, not just to me, but to everyone. One day, I walked past him in public. He was alone, no smile, no charm, just a shadow of the man who once seemed larger than life. For the first time, I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel anger. I felt nothing, and that nothing was freedom. Because here's the truth. When you expose a narcissist, they will try to destroy you. They will fight, they will rage, they will claw at every corner of your life. But in the end, the mask always cracks. The illusion always fades. And what remains is not their power, but your strength. Today, I tell my story not because I want revenge, but because I want others to know they are not alone. If you're listening to this, if you're trapped in the cycle, if you're doubting your own mind, hear me. You are not crazy. You are not worthless. You are stronger than the lies they tell you. Exposing a narcissist is terrifying. It costs you everything, but it also gives you back something priceless, yourself. And that is the real ending, not their downfall, your rebirth.